You know, these days, Disney only seems to release event films to theaters. Your Marvel features, your Star Wars, the remakes, and other stuff that's big budget. What happened to their mid-budget stuff? If we went back a decade ago, you'd find that Disney was still doing movies similar to what they used to pull out. We never had a modern equivalent to Kurt Russell, but we have had actors, normally known for other types of movies, come in to do a family-friendly movie for Disney. Today we're looking at 3 of those. See how Disney held up doing movies like that as we were adjusting in the 2000s. Ever wanted to see Vin Diesel take care of kids? Yeah, I still don't know why studios keep thinking it'll be hilarious for action heroes to take care of kids. It almost feels like an obligation, or rite of passage for these people. So The Pacifier... It's a dumb kids movie, where a Marine played by Vin Diesel has to take care of some kids while looking for a program named Ghost.
926-31043. You want our Ghost movie?
No, not the movie. That was a cute joke though. No, you know the rest. Vin is no nonsense at first, but then he chills out and gets friendly. The kids learn a thing or two, all that jazz. If there is one reason to watch this, it's not for the jokes or the comparisons to Vin's pecs to boobs. No. The reason to watch this is to see Vin not give a fuck about this role.
Where are my troops?
I don't know for sure if Vin is just not acting here, but it seems pretty clear half the time that Vin is pretty much ready to get out of this. Maybe he's just acting that way. But I don't know, some reactions seem more genuine than others in ways that don't quite feel like a performance. Other things of note in this movie is Brad Garrett as the vice principal being a straight up dick to the kids, and even fighting Vin at one point. And then we have the oldest boy being found wearing...
And that's not all. I was doing a little recon in his locker and I found this.
That, which caught me off guard. I mean, I know Disney has featured Nazis before, but like, what the fuck? Well, anyway, it turns out to be for a performance in Sound of Music, now owned by Disney. The bigger surprise, though, is when the movie decides, fuck it, the villains are the North Koreans. It doesn't get racist, but, I mean, the villains are the Asian neighbors dressed up as ninjas. Anyway, Vin saves the day and learns to hang around with kids, so it's all good. I just want to be upfront and say, I mixed this up with Wild Hogs. Like, I remember the whole Seth Green thing with the ape, but I thought this was the movie with the bikers. Okay, let's just get this going. My assumption was that the movie was about some old guys trying to act young as they deal with a midlife crisis. But nope, Robin Williams is a deadbeat father who is forced to reconnect with the kids he never knew. So, yay? I mean, it's not like you can't turn that into a family-friendly feature. I just feel the material would benefit with less restraint, especially with the comedians involved. There's even a whole sequence where Travolta and Williams are tripping out, in which Travolta smiles like the Joker.
Truth is, I probably look like the Joker from Batman.
The kids themselves are pretty forgettable half the time, and wait, is that boy young doing cocks? Anyway, unlike the previous movie, I feel like not a lot of time was actually dedicated to seeing them connect with the adults, which makes Robin's change of heart feel more forced. I don't know, maybe Aunt Becky should have been the one babysitting. I heard she was good at getting kids to college. Among other things, we have a group of Japanese businessmen that Travolta and Williams try to win over. It's not racist, I think, but if someone finds the portrayal of these men to be a bit iffy, if not offensive, I wouldn't argue much against it. And then there's Seth Green, who I'm not sure why he's exactly here other than a few instances where he matters. It seems that they just wanted him to be there to have that ape gag that the trailers and posters hyped up, which not only wasn't funny, I bet Travolta and Williams both declined on it, so that's why Green was added, because someone really wanted it. Anyway, this movie wasn't funny. It really needed a PG-13 or R rating, or just better writers. The jokes never land, the tropes feel very cliched, and the adult stuff never feels like it's properly displayed. This was just awful. Ever seen a Sandler movie? Well, imagine that with the Disney sensibility, and you got Bedtime Stories. Yet another movie about a man being forced to take care of kids. That I landed on that theme this week was honestly coincidental given how I assumed Old Dogs was about bikers. Oops. Anyway, we got Sandler as a hotel worker named Skeeter. As a kid, he was promised to someday own the hotel he works for. When the promise seems to be broken, Skeeter is of course disappointed and is tasked with taking care of his niece and nephew, while his sister is away. There he crafts bedtime stories for the kids, which surprisingly turned out to be real, but only the additions that the kids add to it. Shenanigans happen. There's a whole plot involving the school and the hotel. Whatever, it's all to serve the Sandler formula, while being family-friendly fun. For the most part, there's nothing here that you haven't heard of if you've seen enough of his films. Skeeter is a loser, but he's great at stuff. He's been through a hard time, people like him, but not the upper class. Except the guy who will help him out eventually. He falls in love with a girl out of his league, she likes him, despite not liking him right away, all that stuff. That all being said though, I'd be lying if the Disney brand didn't at least help make this more enjoyable. Not good, but some common flaws are pretty much ignored, while the whimsy can be creative. There's not much in the way of Sandler's usual product placement in this, and the stories, while not great, add some creativity to it, and a slight charm to the movie. Granted, one story brings back the racism that's been so prevalent this January of suck. I guess Rob Schneider really has to play a stereotype every time he's in one of these movies. Anyway, the movie never actually explains why the kids' additions to the story come true, and to be honest, I kind of like that. It's a family movie with some fairy tale fantasy. Why try to bog it down with some realism? Maybe it's just random coincidences, but honestly, who cares? I didn't enjoy this one, but for what it's worth, it's the strongest film of the bunch. Just because it's creative in parts, slightly unique, and despite it not working overall, does kind of work to the strengths of the main actor. Yeah, this has become a recurring topic this year, hasn't it? That's kind of bad, right? Well, anyway, to this week's selection credit, I don't think any of them are that bad on race. None are good on it. In fact, the last film does have a bad stereotype, but I wouldn't use these as strong examples of racism in Hollywood. With The Pacifier, the North Korea stuff is somewhat understandable based on what's going on, and none of it leans heavily on caricatures or stereotypes, but the neighbors are pretty much made to act like ninjas when on the offense, so that's definitely off. Old Dogs features Japanese businessmen who never act offensive, at least not outright, but something about the presentation did make me wonder if I was just missing something. And of course, Native American Rob Schneider was a caricature of the Hollywood idea of an Indian, which is just wrong. And that we saw this in the 2000s is not good. I swear, it was never my intention for this week's selection to be nothing but movies about actors taking care of kids. The goal was to look at modern Disney, or at least before the Marvel Star Wars days. Examine how even big name actors appear in Disney features and see how they evolved from the older films. But I suppose they really loved having these stars take care of kids they don't want for some reason. I wouldn't say it's bad, of course the material and subject can be good, but when so many are about men who don't know kids, now having to take care of them, it can be annoying. To Bedtime Stories' credit, at least Sandler is never made to act goofy for the kids, it comes naturally and isn't the usual, uh-oh, how's the old guy gonna take care of the kids shtick that normally plagues these type of movies. Another reoccurring theme this week? Animals. The Pacifier had the guard duck, Old Dogs had the ape, and Bedtime Stories had the guinea pig. Only Bedtime Stories made the most of their gag. Were these all bad? Oh, yeah. But if I were to rank them, I'd say Bedtime Stories is the best by virtue of creativity and not falling for the same boring tropes. The Pacifier was the second best just because it's fun to see Vin act bad or just not care about what he's doing. While Old Dogs was the worst just because it was boring and felt like a jumble of the tropes being done and nothing else. It was interesting to find bits in these movies that caught me off guard, but overall these are all bad, with Bedtime Stories almost reaching decent. Almost. Oh well, one more week to go. Time to hit Disney at their most known contribution, the animation studio.
On the floor, and you think that you ain't got a chance. Boom, boom. Don't make a move till you're in the groove.